Hey everyone, welcome back to another Painting with Jay. As always, my name is Jay. So grab a brush, grab some models, grab some paints, and paint along with me. Let's rid our world of unpainted models. It's been way too long since I've said those sentences, so come join me. Let's work on our pile of shame of gray models. I'm going to talk about my life and let you know what's been going on. And as you can see, I'm in my office, and let's get started. Yes. Hey everyone, welcome back to another Painting with Jay. I'm excited. Today I'm working on these knights, Dark Angel Knights, that I painted up in Painting with Jay's I don't even know how long ago. I'm going to start off with some Wraithbone, by the way, and just start painting up. This is the guy that I mentioned in my video that lost his arms, that I'm slowly rebuilt him. Basically, when I was just, looking at my Dark Angel army, I'm really excited about this edition of Warhammer 40k. I'm excited to get back into it. I might have to do a couple thin coats, but that's okay. It'll all blend together in the end anyway. I'm going to make sure this guy's arms all look the same. If not, it'll be close. When I was looking at my models, the knights were the ones that stuck out like a sore thumb to me. They just didn't look good. I was really, I don't know, maybe I was trying to do a quick job or something. I don't remember why. It was years ago when I painted up these guys. I just didn't do a good job. And everything on this guy is so flat. It's such flat painting. So I decided that these were going to be the first part of my Operation Dark Angel Glow Up. And yeah. So what I'm going to do here is paint probably 2 thin coats of Wraithbone on this guy's arm and shield. Obviously it's just going to be the bone tones and his hand. I have to get used to this again. Holding my model still. I haven't done this in a while. I'm really happy to be back. I put out a survey earlier today asking what people want me to film, and it was overwhelmingly Painting with Jay. And actually, that's one of the shout out to a specific YouTuber who just said, when are you gonna do another Painting with Jay? I started making videos again. Cool. Yeah. So, should I begin with, of course, a huge shout out to Cody Rue. I always do a shout out to Cody Rue in these videos. And, of course, Adam, you missed a spot. Yeah, right there. You missed that spot. Good job. Thank you for cleaning that up. Yeah, so why am I making this video again? Well, it's obvious, of course. I've been away so long that Adam has missed so many spots while I was away because there was no one there to let him know that he missed spots. And so he missed some spots, and I felt liable for all the missed spots that he was missing, because I could have been preventing, I don't know if you guys know this, and girls, of course, out there in internet land, only I can prevent forest fires. I've learned that in the past as well. Yeah, only I can prevent forest fires. So I take my responsibilities very, very seriously. I don't take them lightly. This does not look amazing yet, but of course we're going to work on it today, and it'll dry. It's pretty thin, so it'll dry and nice and clean. As you can see, there's a bit of a color change between the two. That's okay. It'll all be fine in the end. We'll blend it. I'll do 2 coats on this anyway. It'll dry slightly darker, and I will be using a shade. So this first one, I'm just blending in all the gray because that's just hand primed in all the pieces, making it look better. This is the one that is missing both arms. Cool. So a little bit of touch up. There we go. First guy is touched up, which is nice. I just didn't like it. I think I airbrushed them, only one color. I didn't use any shades. I just quickly painted them And they're not, like, they're definitely tabletop standard, as I normally paint to. I'm just really not happy with my overall workmanship on these guys. So I'm going to be cleaning them up today. And that's my goal for this week, to get these nights finished before my next painting with Jay. And then I'll get started on the giant amount of models that I have going for me for my Operation Dark Angels glow up. Oh man, it's gonna be fun. I've assembled most of them. I'm down to my last couple. I think I have half a squad left of Desolation Marines. Yeah, half my Desolation squad. And he looks good, but as I said, they were just flat. Like, no real tone. Flat. And so I want to fix that today. I'm going to hit them with some shades. I'm using some contrast paints and hit them in shades and highlight. And the golds are really flat because I was using the old gold and it really wasn't. It's boring. It's just really a boring paint job. And so I'm not happy with it. So I decided, let's start with them, give them the glam up that they need, and go from there. Oh, I didn't have a paper towel. Let me grab a paper towel. Okay, there we go, grab one there. And yeah, that's gonna be my job. So, I think I know what I'm gonna call today's video. A journey of 1,000 miles. Let me tell you a little update of what's going on in my lives, because it's been my lives. I have many lives. Let me talk to you about. So I'll let that first coat dry, and I'm going to start working on the red. I'm just going to start working on colors that, of course, aren't touching any of the. This one, the handle, is kind of touching, but I'll let that dry for a minute before I hit it with a second coat. I just hope to keep working. The only problem is it's so humid in my office right now that it might take some time for the colors to dry. And so I'm just going to work on this guy's hand as well. As I said, just some sloppy paint jobs. Adam. So, let me tell you what's happened in the last couple of years, because it's been like 2 years. Last time I painted, I think I was painting some Necrons. Funniest thing is, I never even finished all my Necrons. I got bored of the Necrons. I don't know, this paint on that metal, got bored of it. So, right now I'm going to take some, I'm going to start using some, I love these contrast paints. I love them. So I'm just going to give this a good shake. I'm going to start using some contrast red, the Blood Angels red. I also have another red. I have the dark red from the Speed Paint line. It's pretty good. That's just the sound of my mixer. Cool. Let's take this and give it a good shake. I'm just going to use it straight from the pot. Actually, I might just put some in a palette. One of my plastic palettes. That way I can just work with it. I don't knock over a paint while I'm talking. So, what's happened in the last couple of years? So let me tell you about a journey of 1,000 miles. Apparently it begins with a single step. So, when I used to live in central Ontario. For those who watch my videos, I used to live in central Ontario, in the land near Dave and Stu and Trevor and my friends. And it was good. Like, I liked living in central Ontario. It was good. Nothing wrong with central Ontario. It's busy. It was getting really expensive. But it was a good place. I had a good meta, I had some friends and my spouse and I, and life was good, right? Life was good. Yeah, and starting several years ago, my spouse and I, my wife and I, just decided that she thought it would be a great idea to retire one day in Atlantic Canada, right? The Maritimes, for those who don't hear the term. The Maritimes. And so we thought, cool, I thought that was a cool idea. The Maritimes always seemed like a beautiful area. I'd never been I don't travel much at all. At all. My driving to Adepticon and Gen Con were pretty much like 100% of my traveling. You know, I went on a honeymoon. Years ago, I went on a trip to Vegas, which I vlogged. So LVO. And I don't travel very much. And in Canada, I don't travel at all. You know, before this time, I had been to Quebec a few times. Once to visit my friend Patrick. And I'd been to Quebec a couple times for other reasons. Other than that, never really been outside of Ontario for much. And so I didn't travel very much. Never traveled. I was cool with that. But then, as I said, like we looked at the Maritimes. Maritimes were cool. All the research showed, you know, Maritimes were the cool place to retire. You know, people are like, oh, you know, if you want a cheap place to retire and live off your retirement, move to New Brunswick or some areas in Nova Scotia or PEI, not really Newfoundland. Newfoundland, you're kind of off in your own little island. It's a great little place, apparently, but you're on an island. And so, oh, I forgot that one spot as well. I missed a spot. Adam somewhere yelling, Jay, you missed a spot. So we're like, cool. And it was just kind of that thought. You know, maybe if when we retire years down the road, we're going to retire and we'll live in the Maritimes. Cool, right? And so we continued to pay our mortgage, and we were living in Peterborough, and it was fun. And yeah, like life was good, right? Life was good. It wasn't bad or anything, but the more I looked at the Maritimes, the more we thought about it. We thought, why wait? Why wait to retirement? You know, for a lot of people, moving to the Maritimes was a catalyst to retirement. And on top of that, the housing market was starting to really heat up in the Maritimes because Ontarians were moving here in droves because it was such an awesome place to be. Right? So it just kind of like, okay, like, why? I guess it became from like, okay, why don't we wait to retirement to one day we just kind of hit us. We don't have a lot attaching us to Ontario. You know, I have my family, which I'm not incredibly close with. Nothing against them or anything, but just not incredibly close. And then, you know, my wife's family, yep. And I had some friends. There's like Meta there. Toronto, right? But we weighed the pros and cons, and we realized, see, as you can see, like, this is not drying at all. But that's okay. It'll dry. I'm just gonna work on other colors and stay away from that area specifically as I'm. Cool. Look at that. We're almost done. No, I'm kidding. Not even close. But that's gonna be taking me a few minutes as well. Cool. You'll find that again they dry really slowly. So then it kind of just hit us. Why? Why wait? We weighed the pros and cons. And we decided, you know what? Maybe it was time to think about it. I work for a company. I'm not going to go too much into my job. But I work for a company that is all over Canada. So I was like, oh, I could probably just, you know, transfer. And my wife works from home. So that's easy. And so we decided that. Maybe it was time to just think about it. And that was back in 2019. The end of 2019. December. We started actually looking into realtors. We started looking into getting our house really prepared. And then, of course, we all know what happened in 2020. the world came to a halt. And the Atlantic provinces were actually quite smart with the way they handled COVID. They locked down, and it became very hard to enter and exit the Maritimes. They called it the Atlantic bubble. And the number of cases was very, very, very low here relative, like my city of 100,000 people had more cases on any given day than the whole Maritimes combined, most days. And it was very well done, but it became very hard for people to move here. So we put our plans on hold. We put our plans on hold for a while, and we just went, okay, it wasn't meant to be. It's not meant to be right now. Maybe it's a sign that we shouldn't do it. And the funniest thing is, several points over the last few years at that point, we had tried to get to Atlantic Canada just to visit it and to see what it's like. We had a trip to Nova Scotia planned, and my father-in-law passed away. This was years ago, but my father-in-law passed away the week before we were supposed to go, so we didn't end up going. And then we had another trip, and it was planned, and of course it was canceled due to COVID. And then we had another trip planned, and it was once again canceled due to COVID. And we were like, okay, I guess we're just not meant to go to the Maritimes. We wanted to just see it, what it's like. Is it real? People keep saying, it's very chill and relaxed, and it's beautiful, and there's lobster everywhere. I love lobster. I love seafood. So we put it on hold. We simply put it on hold, and we kept chill, and we relaxed, right? We enjoyed our time together. COVID kept us together. We didn't break up or anything. We have a great relationship. I know, unfortunately, COVID cost several of my colleagues and friends their relationships, but that's a different story. Yeah. So, what I'm going to do now is, now that the reds are done, I'm just going to start shading the models, the bone tones, and then when I get to this one, I'll just, again, do another coat with the wraith bone. I think it's dry. Nope, not dry yet. I don't want to crack the top coat. It's still wet in a couple spots, so I'll let that dry for a few minutes. So let's use, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some, I like to use the contrast paints in the style of a shade, just to add some tint. It's kind of cool. I like it. I love contrast paints, and I really love the fact that contrast paints have really taken off over the last few years. People have found some great ways to use them. So I'm going to use some Skeleton Horde and some contrast medium to thin it down a little bit. And I'm going to just start hitting these guys with a bit of a shade, because I want to bring some depth to it, and this will get in the crevices, just like a shade. I just don't want, it's not as aggressive, I find, as Agric Earthshade, if you thin it down. So it fits really well with this. And I'll just give them a dry brush after they dry with some bone tones, and we'll get them all nice and pretty. Cool. But, cool. And then when COVID started lifting, the Atlantic provinces were very ahead of the rest of Canada, because again, the cases were very low. The Atlantic bubble kind of burst. That's what they said, burst. And the realtors who we'd been speaking with kind of were keeping us up to date, obviously, with what was going on. And they were like, hey, Jay, the Maritimes are starting to be open again. The amount of houses on the market right now, it's a very popular time. Like the Canadian housing market, this is back in 2021. The Canadian housing market was insane. It was insane. Like, the housing market was just crazy everywhere. The GTA was nuts, and they were pushing all the GTA people east and west. And where I lived in Peterborough was basically the eastern limit of where all the Ontarians were going from Toronto. And so the housing market in Peterborough went through the roof. The housing market in the Maritimes was heating up. And we talked about this, and we said, okay, like, maybe this is our chance. We can time the markets. It would be a great financial move. It wasn't just for finances. We both really wanted to live out here. We've heard nothing but good things. The only problem is we'd never been here. I'd never seen the province. And so I've I've made several decisions in my life that I put a lot of thought in, but I've made some jumps. You know, years ago when I quit my PhD and I started working at Miniwargaming, a lot of my friends and family were like, "What the hell are you doing?" I got married and divorced. You know, we moved to Peterborough, right? I gave up my job at Miniwargaming for my ex-wife, and so I'm never afraid of making these big moves in life, because I really do feel that sometimes you just gotta make them. You gotta jump in the deep end and enjoy life. And so I started applying in early 2021 for a transfer. Simply a transfer. The way that the company I work for operates is you have to get a transfer. You have to basically apply for it. The location to bring you here has to accept you, right? But the only thing is that it counts against the payroll. So typically it only happens when they have like a spot available. You know, if they're hiring for that spot or if they're looking for another person, you can apply and accept the transfer. Cool. So I applied. And I applied, and I was never bad at my job. I was quite good, in fact. But application after application after application after application. Now, I didn't get a single interview. I emailed the people in charge of the hiring, and they just said, "You know what, we have a preferred candidate. You know what, you're in another province. We thought you maybe applied this by accident. Sorry, we don't really want anyone from Ontario at the moment because of COVID. We don't know if you'll be able to get here." So I went, okay, well, when time's right, we'll go out there. And I got an interview, and I was like, sweet, I got an interview for the transfer. And I thought the interview went really well, and I was doing the job. Like, I was already in the role for years at that point, so I already knew my job. But it went to another person. They had a preferred candidate, and they hired the other person. I went, okay, fine, like, happens. And a couple months later, I got another interview, and I was like, sweet, this is another interview, awesome sauce. So I got another interview, and I didn't get the job again. And I was like, oh, okay, they went with a preferred candidate. And this person, the last two people I'm mentioning, weren't even doing the job. It was a promotion for them versus a transfer for me. But the one thing I found is that was happening here, and I'm not claiming any discrimination or anything. It was because Atlanticers really favor relationships. In-person, physical relationships. And I respect that. I really do. I really respect that. As much as I respect, Adam, you missed another spot. Go clean that up. Atlanticers are old school. They like relationships. They don't like technology. They don't like Zoom meetings. They don't like that. What they do like is actual physical contact, right? They want to go somewhere and meet someone and speak in person. And you know that old saying, a bird in the hand beats two in the bush? And that's really what I was finding, was that, you know, I was the two in the bush, but they knew their preferred candidates in the area. They knew everyone. It's a tight clique of relationships. And it was very hard to crack. And then one day I applied for another job in this area, and I didn't get it. But the person who was in charge of hiring, he had a bit of sway around the area, and he was like, "Hey, well, Jay, I ran out of contrast medium. I'm just going to do more. I'm just going to refill my palette here. We had a preferred candidate for the job." I said, "Oh, cool. But we would love for you to, we know there's a job coming up that is your job. It's in the area. And we know that there will be a job vacancy in about a month. If you don't mind being patient, we would like to interview you." And I said, "Oh, sure." And in my head, I know I'm being very polite. You know? I'm being very polite. I just because obviously I'd interviewed so many times and I never got the job. So I said, sure. Obviously I took it with a grain of salt. And they said, we'd love to interview you again. I said, sure, cool. And at this point, of course, my wife and I, we'd been getting our house really prepared for years because we were like, okay, if we have to sell our house tomorrow, we have to sell our house tomorrow. Let's get our house ready. So I did a lot of work myself. We did, we finished the basement. There were some times where I think my friend Dave came over to film a battle report and I was like working on tiling. We were finishing it up in case, I got the word. Because we figured if I got the word, it'd probably be very quick. And sure enough, 5 weeks later, hiring manager reached out to me and said, hey, you've actually applied at my location before. I didn't hire you or interview you because we had a preferred candidate. Do you want to interview? Because this person said that you did. And I said, yes, I did. Actually, I would love to interview. And they went, okay, cool. And then she asked me, she says, well, how come you haven't been hired here? Because I've heard your name before. And I literally said, I think I'm worthy of the job, but I feel that it's been hard to crack the preferred candidates. And she goes, oh, yeah, I know. And the funniest thing is, every job that I had applied to, the preferred candidate was already out of the company. They didn't last in the role at all. The person that I interviewed against for the last job, the one I did, that person was already quit company weeks later. Quit the company after 6 months. Moved across Canada. And I said, cool. And then I interviewed and it went, again, really, really well, but so did the other ones. And then all of a sudden, she reached out to my manager. She said, I like Jay. He says he wants to move here. Is he serious? And my manager said, yeah, Jay's very serious. And then she says, cool. But the condition is I need Jay to start in 3 weeks. And it wasn't even 3 weeks. This was on a Wednesday. And I don't know why I was needed. I think it was a test. But they needed me to start for the company in Atlantic, Canada. If I was serious, the condition was I would start essentially 2.5 weeks later. So I would start on the Monday, right? So we're talking 19 days. And remember, my house was not up for sale. I didn't have a place to live. And that was kind of a test. And I think it was a test, but it was kind of like, is Jay serious, right? Is Jay serious? What is he doing? Why did he, is he willing to do that? And again, my wife and I, we were serious. I'm going to stop right now on the glazing part just for a moment and get another coat on this guy, and then we'll continue the bone tones. So, she offered me the job. And of course, I went home and told my wife, and I said, okay, so are we making the jump? Of course, I didn't accept the position on the spot. I just said I have to talk to my wife, make sure. I think we're on the same page. She said, yep, you have 24 hours to let me know. I said, sure, no problem. I went home, we talked about it, and we felt this is the time. Let's do it. This is the sign. I got the transfer. Her job, she was easily able to work from wherever she goes, so that's not a worry. So we're going with 2 jobs, and we know we're going from, we figured Peterborough was a more expensive housing market, which it is, because it's in Ontario, and then where we're moving to in the Maritimes. Cool. So we did, and then so we're like, okay, cool, let's look at the Maritimes. And so we figured we could probably do it and easily afford it, because if we could afford a mortgage back in Ontario, we can afford a mortgage in New Brunswick. We had pre-approved for a mortgage because we figured, we wanted to be prepared, right? We took a lot of steps. We don't take things lightly. Let's do it. So literally, at that point, we had a realtor on call He'd already been to our house several times to make sure that it was up to snuff. They'd take some preliminary photos, and they said, okay, let's do it. So this was on the Wednesday. We called the realtor and said, we're going. Let's do it. Jay's got a job offer. We're taking it. We're moving to the Maritimes. We need to sell a house. Let's do it. And at the same point, we reached out to one of the realtors that we'd known in this area and said, hey, once again, Jay's got a job offer. We're taking it. We're going. Please start looking at houses right now. We don't really know our price range yet. Here's our theoretical price range is what we think. We would like to do it and move the mortgage over, whatever. Cool. Life's good. Awesome. So, yes. So we put our house on the market. It went up on the market the next day. The next day, on the Thursday, it went on the market. And we were prepared. And our area of Peterborough had a lot of interest. And our realtor says, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put your house on the market. We're going to put it on the market for 7 days. We're saying we're going to hold offers until 7 days, but we are willing to accept what are called, I forgot the term, it was like bully offers is the term. Oh, sorry, they don't like bully offers. We're willing to accept offers, but they're all public. And meaning that if we received a preliminary offer, which in real estate is typically called a bully offer, I apologize to my realtor viewers, it's not actually called a bully offer. I apologize if it's offensive, but it's just, that's what I've typically known it as, a bully offer. So we, the cool thing about this is it's very transparent, just saying, if Jay and if they get a bully offer, we're going to be public and say, hey, everyone who's looking at the house, we got a bully offer. So we may or may not accept it. We may or may not, it could have been crap. We're not going to tell you what it is. But all we're going to say is that, hey, every realtor, we got a bully offer. We got an offer. We may take it. We're looking, and all the rules is we're looking at offers at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. And we were really hoping, because we knew that our area was going to be a rental area, we really wanted to give it to a family, not a renter, a family, because nothing against the renters, just we wanted to know that the people were going to take care of the house, live in it, enjoy it, all the things, all the touches that we did. But obviously, there was potential for like an in-law suite in the basement or a student rental in the basement. That's what we're cool with. Cool, obviously. So a little bit of income property, but we were hoping to give it to a family. And so that's on the Thursday. It went up on the market. And obviously, then all of a sudden, literally, and because of course the realtors talk, they knew our house was going to go up. And by the Friday, we were booked solid for the Saturday and even Friday night. So I couldn't come home from work. I had to meet my spouse, and we just drove around Peterborough and went for dinner with my dog. And cool, right? We, as you can see, it just it tints a bit. I like it, makes it a bit darker. I'm going to bring it back up after with some highlights, but it'll bring a lot of tone to these bone tones. So, we did. And cool. Friday goes around. No offers. Cool. Like we figure it's going to be a long process. And we had a value in our head of what we thought we could list the house for. We just thought, based on comparables that had recently sold in the area, how much we could ask for our house. And our realtor suggested we list slightly below that. Not to create panic or anything, just because people look at certain price ranges and we put our house in that price range, and obviously it's not necessarily what it's going to go for no matter what. Like, we could list it higher than we want or lower than we want. It doesn't matter. The market at that point will bring the value of our home to what the market value is. If you get greedy, the market's going to say, hey, you guys are greedy, you're not getting your price. And obviously we had to sell our house fast, right? So he wanted to go on the more conservative side and list lower to help get us a bid. And in the end, we knew that if we got that amount, it wouldn't be the worst case scenario. We could move with a mortgage and be okay. And just, we thought it'd be cool if we could do it and maybe save some money. We both kind of figured it was too much house. We got that house because it was great circumstances. in Ontario, and we realized after moving, it was too much house, too much property. We had, you know, 2 huge pear trees. We had an apple tree, which were just a nightmare in the fall, right? All the bees and everything. The pears were good, apples weren't. So that's, oh, it's actually basically dry. I'm using thin coats, so it should be, all right, let's do it. So, it was too much house. So we were thinking we were going to downsize anyway. We're going to downsize. I love these. I love contrast paints. Love them. I'm going to slap chop my entire Dark Angels army again. I did a lot of them earlier. We'll talk about that in a future video too. And so, where was I? Yeah. So we were hoping to maybe save some money. We didn't want to be greedy. I know a lot of Ontarians come here with dollar signs in their eyes and go, "Ooh, kids in candy store, like look how much we can buy for the same amount of money," and they buy a giant house that they don't need. I've met several friends here that, again, they have like 6-bedroom houses that they bought because they could afford it, because it was the same price as the house that they sold in Ontario. And then they're going, we don't need 6 bedrooms. You know how annoying it is to clean 6 bedrooms? Ran out of paint again. So, we put our house on the market on Thursday. Friday, bunch of showings. Saturday, full. Like, we could not be home at all on Saturday. So we went up to my mother-in-law's house. As I mentioned, at this point, my father-in-law had passed away. So we were just chilling. No offers yet. And we're going, okay, like, we're patient. We're patient. We're not going to force it. Obviously, if an offer comes, an offer comes. And then Sunday rolled around, and we received our first offer. Now, Sunday we weren't booked up. It was really random. We only had like 2 showings the whole day for Sunday. But before the first showing, we received our first offer on the house. And it was a lowball, crappy offer. There was no way we were going to accept that. Like, it was low, and we're like, okay, that's low. You know, we were willing to accept maybe the price that we listed it at. We were hoping to get maybe a little higher than that. You know, 10 or 15,000 higher than that would make a huge difference, help cover some costs of moving and stuff. And the offer sucked. And also had all these conditions. Condition of financing, condition of inspection, which at this point, like, again, we're in a seller's market. It was definitely a seller's market. And we're going, okay, like, we know we're not going to, beggars can't be choosers, right? We know this well, but this is a low ball offer. We are not going to accept this offer, whatever. But what did it do? Because the second that that offer got put into the system, every realtor who was looking at our house got the message saying, hey, Jay got an offer. We're not telling you what it is, and Jay's going to look at it tonight at 6 p.m. And this is at like 8 in the morning, right? But we knew the moment we got that offer, we were not going to accept it because it was bad. And we're like, okay, we're not accepting it. I'm willing to take a risk. I think our house is going to get more than that. Better offer. We keep it on the market. Maybe we can go back to the people who made an offer and said, hey, are you willing to, you know, remove some conditions or whatever. Our house was in very good condition. We had a full inspection before we bought it 3 years earlier than that. Cool. So, but the tidal wave started, and our realtor, this was at 8 a.m., and we knew we had a showing at 10, and we knew we had a showing at, I think, 11:15. It was both really early on that day, and that was it. And again, we were prepared to leave our house for the day in case, you know, we got another one at 3 and whatever. We're hoping that it happens relatively fast, but it didn't. We had patience. Like, I wasn't going to accept an extremely terrible offer because I knew our house was very well built in a great area. Cool. Look at that. Starting to bring some depth to it. Love it. A quick highlight is going to be amazing. Yeah. So, what color am I going to do next? I got to do a color that is not touching any of this gold. Yeah, let's do golds. That way I can touch the golds for now and just let these dry. And then maybe some greens. So I'm going to grab the gold. And so, let's keep going with the story. So, but the wheels were in motion. The wheels were put in motion, my friends. And oh my goodness, were they in motion. So, we left the house. We left the house for the... we left the house early for the it was a 9:30 showing. So we got dressed, 8 o'clock, right? We got dressed, we left the house for the 9 o'clock showing. But as we were leaving, we noticed that the realtors were coming in. And we were like, okay, maybe they're just coming in early for the showing. You know, we didn't think anything of it. Cool. And then after 9:30, we drove by again, just drove by the house, making sure the people are gone. And we noticed a different realtor was there. We're like, oh, that's weird. Waited another 15 minutes, drove by, and there were 2 more realtors there at the same time. And we thought, okay, this is weird. So we contacted our realtor to say, realtor dude. I think I even said like realtor dude. He's a pretty cool guy. People still say dude. Whatever. So I said, realtor dude, you know what's going on? Like, you told us there's only one showing, at this time, only one showing here, and we're noticing there's different... there's different realtors. People I don't think we've ever seen. And he says, yeah, sorry, the second that offer went into the system, it sparked an insanity because anybody who was thinking of going to see the house on Sunday or the following week instantly got the message, right, saying, hey, an offer's in place, it doesn't guarantee that they're going to take it, but they may. So this house may or may not disappear from the market tonight. They had to overlap showings because they knew that we were theoretically going to accept an offer. We may not. And so that day we had like 25 showings in the end. We couldn't, and I wasn't prepared. I had to sneak back into the house to get my stuff so that we could leave the house, then go away for the whole day. We just drove around Peterborough. We did a bunch of stuff with my dog, and like we had fun, but we couldn't do anything because it was completely unexpected. Cool. And so, once again, at that point, all we knew was that we had an offer. We weren't going to take it, but you never know. Like, again, and we weren't counting our chickens before they've hatched. We honestly thought, okay, hopefully this sparks some interest. Hopefully this gets people interested in the house, and maybe we find the right person today. We don't know. Then all of a sudden, at around 3 o'clock, we get a second offer. And it's decent. It's better than the first one. Wasn't ideal, but it was better. I'm like, sweet. That's a great situation. And then about 10 minutes later, we get another offer. And then another offer. And then another offer. And then another offer. And then another offer. And another offer. And it wasn't perfect. Like, it wasn't every offer is better than the next one. Some were all within the same range. Some had conditions. But the offers are starting to get better and better and better. And they're starting to be in the price range that we were just hoping to get. Like, we weren't being greedy. We were hoping to get a certain amount. Hoping. Like, if I got... Essentially, I'm not going to say how much we listed our house for, but if we got... My dream situation was if we got about 10 to 15% higher than what we listed it as. Essentially. Just that. I know I realize I'm painting this gold and I'm going to have to... Oh, whatever. I'll dry brush around it after. But as you can see, this gold is so boring on the current paint job that it's just... Adding these new colors will bring these guys to life. I really wanted to get some pop in these miniatures. They're so flat, and I just want to go back 10 years ago when I was painting this miniature originally. I think I was working at Miniwargamer, and I'm pretty sure it was a rush paint job so I could get them in battle reports, if I remember correctly. Maybe not. So, Where was I? Yeah. The bids, and each bid started getting better and better and better, and then all of a sudden we got a bid that hit the amount that we really wanted, and we're like, this is amazing. We are going to, at that point we were like, you know what, we're definitely selling our house today. We're selling our house today. This is it. Like, I don't care, I'm not going to be greedy. This is the offer size that I wanted. This is the one that we were comfortable with. We could go with a small mortgage, so we didn't need the big mortgage. We could just go with a smaller mortgage, one that we could pay off in a few years, and we'd be okay. Cool, right? And so, cool. But then another offer came, and then another one, and then another one, and so we said we were going to see offers until, we're going to review offers at 6 p.m. At 5 p.m., we received an offer that blew all the other offers away and was 40% above what we were asking. And again, we didn't think we were going to get this high. Our realtor did not think we were going to get anywhere near this high. Realtor thought we were going to get probably 10% above what we were asking. And we're blown away. And then all of a sudden, like, it just, honestly, it felt like I won the lottery. Because now we're in a territory where we can do this without a mortgage. We can do this in cash. And I didn't think it was going to happen. I really never thought it was going to happen, but now I'm thinking, wow, the financial freedom. Wow. If we want to proceed, we can proceed now in cash. It was insane. And we're like, wow. And this is with an hour left. And so for the last hour, we were on cloud nine. We were on cloud nine because we did not expect this to happen. We didn't. It was, no, like, we did not expect this insanity to happen. And at 5:45, we've got a few more offers between 5 and 6, but they weren't good. They weren't as good. And we really liked the offer. We really liked the people. It was going to be for a rental, we were assuming, but they really liked the property. It wasn't guaranteed that they're going to rent out the house, but that's what we're guessing. But you never know. They actually could have been moving there. And we liked them. They sounded like really cool. They liked the property. They liked the bones. They liked everything about it. And we were happy. We were so happy. And then at 5:45, we got an even crazier offer. An even crazier offer from a family that once again, they basically said that they were going to rent the property. They were going to use it as a rental for about a year, until they got their affairs in order, and then they were going to move from Toronto. They wanted to move from Toronto earlier, but they just figured they would rent it for like 1 year, just to keep the property occupied and then move in. So of course they were interested in the property to live there. They wanted to retire in the area. They were a nice older couple with a older kid, and we're like, wow. And this offer was 50% above what we were asking. And again, I thought we were listing a little low. I did. Our realtor said, it's hard to determine. The markets are crazy right now, but it's always on a case-to-case basis, right? And he was very realistic. He was always like, this is how much I think you're going to get. To be honest, you might get a little more, you might get a little less. This is how much I think you're going to get. And it floored him. He wasn't a greedy realtor. And when he got this offer, he was like, I'm losing my mind. I think you guys are losing your mind too. And I'm like, yeah. And so we were like, this is insane. It's just insane. Now they wanted the house, and it was great. They wanted the house in a month. A month and a week, 5 weeks. And I had to be in the Maritimes anyway pretty soon, so we're like done. And that day we sold our house. And so we put our house on the Thursday night. Thursday around 6 p.m. was when Thursday was 6 p.m. It was put on the market, and it was completely sold. It was 14. I'm pretty sure it was 14 offers. Sunday. It took 48 hours, or 48 hours, 72 hours, and the house was sold. And so we're like, okay, we're taking this jump, like we're going. But now we didn't have a house, right? We sold our house, and so now the next step is the fun part of buying a house. So we reached out, we got a hold of the realtor, and we said, all right, we've sold our house. We didn't change. We really didn't change our price range. We decided not to go greedy. We were like, this is an amazing opportunity to do this in cash, right? And again, I don't live around money. I've never been I've been a YouTuber, and I was a zookeeper for years, and I worked for Miniwargamer. Obviously not jobs that are extremely high paying. I don't live my life around my finances, but this is just an amazing opportunity to do not only what we wanted to do, right? We wanted to move out here, but also to do it and to do it cleanly is just insane. So we decided, you know what, we're not going to get greedy. We were actually wanting to downsize. We wanted to get a smaller house, and we did it. But we literally told our realtor, we said, hey, realtor lady, very nice woman, we sold our house for this much. We can do this in cash, but we need a house ASAP. And there was a house that I liked a lot, that was sold. When we were thinking of selling our house, when we put our house on the market, I reached out to a realtor and said, hey, is this house for sale? And they said, no, it just sold. And it was a house that was in a perfect area, near my work. It fit the exact size. I felt it would be a great match for us, whatever, so we let it go. And then literally the day that the next day, so this is now the Monday, and again, like this is crazy, right? We're in full throttle mode. Like this is crazy. So I noticed that the house was put back on realtor.com. And it was a new listing. So I called up the realtor, the selling realtor. I was doing it myself. I didn't care. I said, hey, selling realtor, what's going on? And they said, oh, the buyers have backed out. It was a very quick back out. The house is still in great condition. We're going to be showing the house again tomorrow. This was on Tuesday. And to be honest, he goes, and I'm not trying to pressure you guys, but I think it's going to sell again pretty fast. This guy I was speaking with was a little bit like the greedy realtor. But whatever. So we called our realtor up, and we said, okay, we've two houses that we really, really want to see tomorrow. Can you book showings in both of them? We want to put an offer on a house ASAP. Because remember, I need to move there ASAP. We've sold our house, right? ASAP. We need to get a house. And that was what our concern was, that we knew we were moving into a quasi-hotter market. The advantage that we had was, if need be, we could go slightly above our opponents with because we had a little extra now, and we didn't want to overpay for our house, right? That's silly, but at least we figured it might put us in our favor. And we did find out through the grapevine what the previous people bid on the house that we liked that wasn't that ended up back on the market, and we found out why we were actually able to find out what happened with the previous people. Why we got the whole story. We were okay with it. This house wasn't perfect, but whatever. Cool. Very minor stuff. And so we asked the realtor. She walked through both houses. And the funniest part was I didn't tell my coworkers that I was leaving the job yet, and they all saw my for sale sign. So yeah, whatever. But cool. Look at him. Looks better. So is this guy done? Yes, he's already done. And then this guy. So, how much am I paying? I don't even know how long I'm paying for. That's okay. So, we asked our realtor to look at 2 houses. One of them was cool, but it was in a really weird area. We liked it, but it ended up being a really weird area. And so we were like, okay. And then, we saw 3 houses. The second house, the kitchen was disgusting. And it was not well kept, and it was not well done. So, cool. Third house was the house that I found, and I really liked, and I liked the area. You know what? It met our criteria. Our realtor walked us through, she walked us through using FaceTime, and showed us the house, and it met our criteria. We loved the area. We figured, worst comes to worst, if we get to the house and it sucks, we can always just move somewhere else in the near future, but at least now it's a house. We wanted to buy, renting is very hard in the area that we wanted to live in. There's not a lot of rentals. So we're like, all right, let's do it. Let's take the blind step. And all the sellers wanted was, and we've heard through the realtors talk and everything, they basically said, if you're willing to offer the price that the previous people got it for, you're good. That's all they wanted, right? And the price was very fair, very, very fair, very, very fair. And we did. We literally we put an offer that night, and it was accepted. And because the sellers had already bought another house, they were kind of in a spot where they needed to get out of their house as well very quickly. They weren't as fine. They risked things. It was pretty crazy. They wanted it was a very short closing date, and we were okay with that because I was moving there shortly. So we did it, and so Wednesday at 4 o'clock, I think our time. Wednesday at 4 o'clock our time, I got the word that I was getting the transfer. If I wanted it, the transfer was mine. At 5:30, I was at home talking with her, my wife, and saying, hey, are we doing this? Are we going to make the jump? 6 days later, Tuesday at 5:30, we had put our house on the market, sold it, and bought in a house sight unseen. Can you say I've made decisions in my life, and nothing as crazy as what we did. We were like, let's do it, and literally, it was 1,000 miles away, in a province that I'd never been in, but I've heard nothing but amazing things. For the record, I'm not completely a noob in this area. I do have some family in the relative vicinity. My stepfather, when I was growing up, was born in this province and had nothing but great things to say. I'd heard nothing but amazing things. Cool. And so we did it. I packed like a crazy person. I'd been cleaning anyway, and I downsized a lot of stuff. I'd already had my 40K stuff packed up at this point, because when we were showing the house, we cleaned out my office, right? Obviously, it would have been really cool to show it with all the 40K stuff in it, but no. So everything was packed up, and we made the trek, but we had to do it separately because the house wasn't sold yet when I started at my new location. So literally, I hopped in my car. I packed as much clothing and stuff as I could. Hopped in my car and drove to a province I'd never been in to start my life without my wife. She had to stay back and wait for the house to close and make sure everything was good there. And then once the house closed there, and also, again, because everything was still in the old house, we hadn't moved the stuff, I had nothing to... It was cool. I brought like a table, a desk, so I could work, and a TV, which I broke. A couple TVs. One I used it for a monitor, and I ended up breaking the other TV. Some equipment, a bunch of clothing, and that was it. And it was really cool. And of course, halfway between, it was basically 1,000 miles, the drive, a journey of 1,000 miles. It began with a decision. I stopped halfway, and my good friend Patrick lives halfway. It was really cool. So it was a good chance to go visit him. So we stopped and spent a day together, and I went and visited him for a day. And then I started my new job. And I lived in a hotel for 12 days. 12 days, 12 days, yeah. I had to take my clothing to get like dry clean once. And I stayed in a hotel. And in retrospect, it was a very expensive hotel. But I chose it because it was right beside my work building. So I was like, all right, perfect. It's right beside my work building. I don't want to commute. I can park for free. Cool. And then on day 12, we got our house. And so we owned 2 houses for like a week. And then moving people came to my old house, got everything. It was in purgatory for about a week. And then the stuff arrived here. And then a week later, my wife joined me. So I was without her for about a month, about 4 or 5 weeks. We were apart. And when I, of course, got to my new house, I cleaned it and I started working on stuff like patching the walls and stuff. And but I don't know. I might have to stop here. How long have we been painting for? About 45 minutes. Maybe I'll paint the greens a little bit. I can't go much further because I'm going to need to wait for the shade to dry and then do a little dry brushing. But as you can see already, I'm adding so much dimension to these guys. They'll be done way before next week's video because let's do it. I'm just going to do some of the green. So, yeah, and that was it. The journey of 1,000 miles. And I'm really happy. I am. I miss my friends. I miss Ontario. I miss going to Jays games. I miss the meta. But I love it out here. I love it. I've been back to Ontario, not back to my old town or anything since. But I went back to Ontario for a funeral. That's it. Last year. And I miss my friends, I miss some stuff, but I've never been happier. It's been terrific, and I've been adventuring. This is such an amazing area of Canada to adventure, and to just go in your backyard and do things like, I've been whale watching a few times, I saw whales. The amount of outside activities. I got into golf a couple years ago and I've been playing a lot of golf. It's such a beautiful area of Canada and it's just so much fun to explore and to do things. I love it. I absolutely love it. I've never been happier. And it feels good saying that, and I don't want to brag. I know because I know the last couple of years have been tough on some people. But this move, this leap of faith, this decision was risky as heck. Like, I literally moved 1,600 kilometers or 1,000 miles. Really, and I put some thought into it, but in retrospect, you know what I mean? Like, I'd never been here. It could have been funny as heck. But I've made a couple friends, not really 40K friends, to be honest. And weirdly, a lot of my friends are from Ontario, because a lot of people here moved from Ontario. But the fact that we made the decision and we did it kind of, I'm not saying right, but we just did it less greedily. We didn't you know, we didn't think we were going to sell our house for that much money. We downsized significantly because we didn't need this much house, this much property. The decision was just amazing. And it made our lives just so much easier and gave us a bit more financial freedom. And just, it will be a catalyst to retirement. And honestly, I know it's stereotypical, but the air smells so much better here. It just, being farther away from the crazy cities, you know, there's a lot less pollution. It's so much more relaxed. The people here are phenomenally nice. Not the best drivers, but that's okay. I've been almost driven off the road a few times on my motorcycle. There's a lot of deer. I love the deer. I don't feed the deer, though. I really want to feed the deer, but I don't feed the deer. My neighbors would get mad at me if I fed the deer. Tons of deer. I see like a dozen deer a day. I see a few moose. Moose are awesome. Whales. Moose are amazing. I love moose. Moose are just... I've been around deer most of my life, and when I was a zookeeper years ago, I worked with deer and elk, right? So elk are very big. They're the second biggest member of the cervid family. We're doing science talk right now. Biggest being moose. And moose are one of those animals that you forget how big they are until you freaking see a moose. And then you go, oh my goodness, you are a giant. You forget that they exist around you, that Canada has these animals that are bigger than your car. And you usually see them at the side of the road when you're driving 100 kilometers an hour, 70 miles an hour kind of thing. The great thing about this area is it's all 70 mile an hour zones, basically. So when you're driving 70 miles an hour and you see a moose, you go, oh crap, don't hit the moose, right? And it's amazing. They just remind you how small you are. Yeah, but look at that. These guys are looking so much better already. I'm going to have them done well before next video. It's just gonna be a bit of touching up this guy especially. He's gonna have to get dry brushed, and then he's gonna be good. These guys will be done. Well, they're already based, so cool. This has been amazing. I've not seen my family. I get that question a lot, like, do I go back and visit my family? No, I've never been particularly close with my family. We're not at odds or anything. We're not fighting or anything. It just, I've never been particularly close with them. And, my brother's going to come visit me soon. That's going to be cool. So I'll take him around, take him whale watching, show him the sights. Look at that. So let's quit now. These girls are looking good. They're still a little wet. I'm going to dry brush them after, bring up some tones. Oh, there's some gold. See, I missed a spot. All right, let me do this gold quickly, and then we'll... But look at that, they look so much better already. I love the depth of color that's actually happening right now. It's going to make these guys so much sweeter on the tabletop. They're, my Dark Angels are a very low quality painted army of all my armies, but even slap chopping them will improve their appearance. So cool, let's end here. So that concludes another Painting with Jay. The first one in a while, but expect more. I really want to keep doing this series. And not only this, after this week I'll be working heavily on all the other Dark Angels once I'm done assembling them for my Operation Glow Up. So stay tuned, more videos. Really do hope you enjoyed painting along with me and that you're reading your world of unpainted models. I'll talk about my body, the number of model count next time. But we'll talk about that in the future. We're working our way. And stay tuned, more Painting with Jay. I really do appreciate all the feedback and that you wanted to bring this series back. Please leave comments in the comment section down below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so, and like the video so I can keep making more. So next time is Jay saying, happy painting with me.